Scott Rasmussen, the former president of Rasmussen Reports and Polling, had a really fascinating thing about Kamala Harris and the polls. Watch this.
What's happening, we just came out with a poll this morning among registered voters. Trump is +1 over Harris. But I would tell you basically to ignore that poll. And the reason is, all that really tells us is that before the debate on June 27th, the race between Trump and Biden was close, and Harris is starting in that same position. Very few voters know anything about Vice President Harris. Over the next 2 or 3 weeks, as people get to know her, her numbers may move up or down, but right now, this is like a blank slate. Very hard for us to keep that in mind. Second reason that 8% talking politics daily matters is people don't know the language we use. My advice is, whatever way that you talk to people in this room about politics, never talk to a real person that way.
So this is what I've been saying since Kamala got into the race. People like you and me who think and talk about politics all the time, we know who Kamala Harris is. We know what she's done. We have an opinion set on her, right? We like her, we don't like her. Probably we don't like her. I mean, it's hard to like her if you know what she's done, but I know there's some liberals out there that like her. The thing is that Democrats are not realizing that most Americans do not talk about politics the way I do, or the way you might talk about them or watch videos on them like I do as well. It's just not like normal people just aren't that political, and they shouldn't be, by the way. Most people should not really think about politics. They should think about raising their family, going to work, being good members of their community, which one could argue, I guess, is part of politics. So let me amend my statement. People should not be talking about national politics. They just don't do it. They need someone exciting to get them out to vote. Kamala Harris is not exciting. Again, sure, you know who Donald Trump is. You know, like if you poll America right now and you ask them, hey, who is Donald Trump? Or you don't even have to say his name. You could say, who was the last president of the United States before Joe Biden? 99% are going to be able to say Donald Trump, because it's just, he's such a character, right? And anyone who's been president of the United States in the last 10 years is a character. But Donald Trump specifically, man, you know, he's iconic. If you ask that same group of people, let's say you poll all of America, who is the current vice president right now? I predict, and I think this is what Rasmussen is getting at, I predict that literally 40% of them couldn't tell you who the vice president is. I think it's that high. And again, for people like me and for you who think about politics, it sounds crazy that, you know, such a large number wouldn't know who the vice president is. But I truly think that is the fact. And so when you go into these polls and you see Donald Trump versus Kamala Harris and you see the D and the R, you know, you have an opinion on Donald Trump. You don't have an opinion on Kamala Harris. And so that can mean one of two things. The first thing it could mean is that you vote for her because you just don't have a negative thing, you know, you don't have a negative connotation with her, or you don't know her so you don't show up to vote. And that is the problem that Democrats have right now. My prediction is that turnout for Democrats will be famously low. In contrast, I think turnout for Republicans will turn out to be quite high. And the reason why is because Donald Trump is an exciting force in the Republican Party. He clearly is changing the party. He has a direction he's going with it. He has some also sub-leaders in the Republican Party that are very good at energizing the base. I'm talking about Vivek Ramaswamy, Tim Scott, Doug Burgum, like people who are they're flag bearers for Donald Trump. They're getting the base excited. There's a direction. If you look at the Democrats, what you just saw happen is that they just lied to you for months and months, promising you that Joe Biden would be the nominee, that he wasn't crazy, that he wasn't too old, and then switching him out last minute and acting like that everything's okay, and that Kamala Harris was always the plan. And again, there's going to be a kind of far left group who looks at Kamala Harris and they're totally good with it because she's a very far left person. But there's a lot of people who are going to look at it and they're going to be confused by the disunity in the Democrat Party. They're not going to vote for Trump. They know who Donald Trump is, but they don't know who Kamala Harris is. If they don't know who Kamala Harris is and they see that she was just kind of put in last minute by Joe Biden, chances are they just probably won't show up to vote. And at this point, a no vote is a vote for Trump. However, the other thing, and as Rasmussen said, the numbers for Kamala will only go down from here in the polling, which again, the polling is not everything. I'm not suggesting that the polling is the voting, but in the polling, the numbers will go down because as more and more people find out who Kamala Harris is, more people are going to realize how radical she is. Just in terms of policy, very radical. In terms of character, not very likable. Again, not exciting. She doesn't excite anybody. And so the polling will actually, I think, sour for Kamala But what matters much more than the polling, I believe, is the voting, obviously, and the turnout is going to be famously bad for Democrats in November because people are just simply not going to know who she is. And the reason why that is because we have 99 days left until the election, starting today. That is not a lot of time. Not a lot of people are talking about politics every day like you and I are. And so 99 days is not enough time for Democrats to show a good symbol of who Kamala Harris is. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Please go down below, comment, like, and subscribe, and watch another video.